Hello and welcome to the channel. I am a history person, and this will be episode 1 of Aircraft Legends by a history person. And today we will be talking about the Curtiss P-40, known as the WARHAWK or Tomahawk or Kitty Hawk, depending on what variant or where it's from. The P-40's journey started in 1938 when the first prototype was announced after the United States was wanting to replace its aging fleet of P-36s, also built by Curtiss. If you would like to see a video on that, put that in the comments. Anyway, the P-40 served from 1939 to 1945 throughout the World War II. During that, the P-40 saw multiple changes, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. The P-40 the first P-40 flew on October 14th, 1938. By Curtiss test pilot Edward Elliott flew the first prototype XP-40 in Buffalo. The XP-40 was a P-36 WARHAWK, not WARHAWK Hawk, with its Pratt & R1830 twin Wasp engine replaced with an Allison V1710 engine. This engine provided a little more horsepower, made the airplane more aerodynamic, and overall gave it a better speed and more futuristic look. The prototype didn't have any armament, but the armament that would be put on its first armed prototype would be 250 cals mounted in the nose and 430 cals, 2 in each wing. The Curtiss engineers wanted to improve on the P-40 speed a little bit more by improving the radiator. And so, that was done. The P-40 was conceived as a pursuit aircraft. It was moderately agile at low to medium altitudes, but suffered from a lack of power at higher altitudes due to its lack of a supercharger. Some of them did have a single-stage supercharger, but that didn't fix the problem very much. It could outturn most opponents it would have faced when it first came out, except the Zero, as most of you probably know. But the P-40 was a rugged machine that served in many theaters. As the P-40 came down to it, it first saw combat with the AVG, American Volunteer Group, over China fighting the Japanese. The AVG had been previously using Soviet aircraft, but they didn't like them too much. But they had to work with what they had, so the AVG ordered P-40C Warhawks. And that's what made the Flying Tigers famous. They later were upgraded to P-40Es with 650 caliber machine guns instead of the 250s and the 430s. But the Flying Tiger smile actually came from a squadron in Africa. The squadron in Africa had painted shark mouths on their P-40s for reasons I don't know. These P-40s were called Kitty Hawks. These were P-40Es, which the AVG would later be known for. As well as, I'm a little tired. As well as being a rugged machine. As the P-40 continued its service, it served for the United States and the renewed Republic of France. France had received some P-40s as well. In early order, were conceived from P-36s. These were the Hawks. But in 1942, French forces in North Africa wanted the P-40Fs and Es that the United States were using. So, they ordered some. They saw how durable and rugged these airplanes were compared to the 109s, even though the 109 was still faster and slightly more maneuverable than the P-40, but the P-40s could still keep up. The 109s had problem with sourcing parts and getting them to Africa. P-40s were known to ram other airplanes or be rammed and still survive and make it back. The P-40 was a good airplane. The P-40 still is a good airplane. The P-40 was probably made famous to the American public after Pearl Harbor. A couple of them made it up and took down, I don't know how many zeros, but I think it was 1 or 2, sealing the fame of the P-40. These P-40s, however, were not the newest, but they did their job. You can't say they did their job well, but they had no warning. The P-40 was retired from the United States in 1945, right before World War II ended, and had been completely replaced by P-47 Thunderbolts and P-51 Mustangs. There were 13,738 P-40s built, and they served up till 1958 with the Brazilian Air Force. But their primary users were the United States, the Royal Air Force, which was Britain, the Royal Australian Air Force, the Royal Canadian Air Force, and the French during World War II. And that will conclude our first episode and pilot episode of Aircraft Legends. That will conclude the episode. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit post notifications if you like the content. If you don't like the content, do all that anyway. Y'all have a fabulous day. Bye-bye.